sons of men, but the fighting among twins ushered in sin, and brothers been beefing ever since. Yah come in the volume of the book by the truth and sell it not. So we got these robbers out here shook. Understanding is departing from evil. He flooded the earth once and there'll be no sequel, but the fire next time. That's why I'm the messenger refined in the fire of affliction, opening your eyes to the foolish ways and the devil's contradictions. Singing to let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim. Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim.
I praise John summer and winter season, and dismiss the statues was taught by these heathens. Y'all give me the reason to call them out, only misleading and treasons. A man's heart that was given to these beastlings. No, we're not even. Back to seeking the heart of Yah. 7 is what he requires for the draw silver to be polished by fire. Constantly led by my Elohim, who visits messengers through visions or a dream. Slaves that were formerly your king will one day rise and seek the purpose of their being. The feeling is serene. The Israel is a prince who has power with Elohim and man. And no longer do we advance to realize the reaches of the stars. Upon the shoulder bumper motion coming by Yah, who can take it thus far. Give him YAH'S Gates, Salat to the Almighty Yah.
Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim. Let the judgment run down like the waters, and the righteousness flow as the streams. Let Yahweh's name be exalted in the high praises of my Elohim. Hallelujah. Singing to Allah, to my Yah, to my Yah.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome to another beautiful broadcast of Nothing But the Truth. I am Mowreh IshYAH from the House of Yisrael of Cincinnati, located at 2330 Kemper Lane, here to bring you nothing but the truth. And we say shalom to everyone that is tuned in to our program from our listening and viewing audience, for we know the only reason you have tuned into our program is because of your great fear and love toward the mighty Yah. And who is this Yah? Yahweh is the creator of the heavens, earth, and sea, and all that therein is. Yahweh is the only judge, the only lawgiver, the only redeemer, and the only savior of Yisrael in the world. Yahweh is the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Yahweh is the one that has raised us up and ordained us to bring you his truth. And that's what we will do. And again, we praise the mighty Yah for allowing us to be here to bring you his words and to continue in our message for this week, which is deliverance. Yah's deliverance. This is the fourth installment to deliverance and how Yahweh will deliver a nation from the midst of another nation. Yesterday, we were taught the word of Yahweh by our Mowreh IshYAH Yisrael, who brought us Yah's word about deliverance, part 3, dealing with wonders. And what was taught was Yah's wonders, they're not just like anybody else's wonders. Yahweh has peculiar wonders. While man has wonders that are monuments and landmarks and apparatuses that man makes are their wonders. Pyramids and bridges and walls and gardens. But Yah's wonders are his servants. And his servants will do wondrous things. Yah's wonders is his word. And you will behold wondrous things from his word. And Yah's wonders will be brought forth very, very soon, because this wonder will have to conduct war. You'll be surprised that Yahweh is the fiercest, mightiest, most skilled man of war there is. No one fights war as exquisite as the Creator. There's no weapon formed that can challenge our Elohim. As a matter of fact, I believe it was read in yesterday's program, but if you go to the book of 2 Chronicles, the 20th chapter, you'll see how Yahweh does these things. And before we go there, go to Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, just to once again present to you our premise of why we are speaking about this today. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, start at the 33rd verse.
Did ever people hear the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and live? Or hath Elohim essayed to go?
So have you ever heard the voice of the Creator speaking out of this fire? No, no one's heard this except your ancestors. The scientists want to tell you how things are coded on your DNA, passed down from generation upon generation, and it's in your DNA. Well, this is encoded in your DNA. You are the only people, Israel. Yes, the black man and woman that is in America. Yes, the black man and woman that's being oppressed by this system called democracy, promulgated by the United States and their ideologies and their practices. Yeah, the black man and woman in America who has gotten a whole lot of attention this last week because of yet another slaying of one of our people, innocent, not guilty of crime, not shooting at police, not assaulting another person, not resisting arrest, but simply being black. They took his life. And you, black man and woman, in America and abroad, dispersed from the transatlantic slave trade, you are the children of Israel. And in your blood and in your ancestry, you're the only people that's heard the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire. Or hast thou heard this, or hast thou heard this and lived? Yeah, you're the only people that has survived such a great thing Verse 34.
Or hath Elohim essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations?
Yeah, the Creator will take a nation, your people, from the midst of another nation by temptations.
By signs.
By signs. See, we discussed these temptations, these things that Yahweh will do that will test you, that is testing the world. See, Yehudah is spread out throughout the four corners of the earth. So everything that Yah does to his people today and for his people for our deliverance will be manifested on a global scale. At the time of Egypt, we were in one nation. The whole nation of Israel was in one place, the land of Egypt. Egypt was the greatest empire on earth at the time. There was no other empire as Egypt that ruled, that was as powerful, just like America today. But the only difference is between today and this time in Egypt is that we are spread abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. So everything that Yah does to rile up, to wake up, to influence, to inspire his events to take place, it's on a global scale. So these temptations didn't just happen in one country. No, these temptations has took place throughout the whole world. There's not a continent on earth where this pestilence hasn't affected the people. Every major continent, every major country, everywhere has altered their way of life because of the pestilence that you know as COVID-19, the coronavirus. Everywhere on earth where people are have had to change their behavior, have had to change their daily processes. What they do every day has had to change because of this pestilence. You've had to stop viewing TV and movies and restaurants, and all kind of vanities have either ceased completely or been greatly muted. And the people could not take this. When an economy is built off vanity, when the most highest paid people in the world are entertainers and people that are making machines of vanity, like phones and computers, and they're the highest paid people, people selling vanity are the highest paid people, as opposed to somebody like Abraham, who was extremely rich. And how was he rich? He had a lot of cattle. He had a lot of gold and wealth by having a lot of resources, as opposed to somebody like Donald Trump, who became wealthy off of being a snake oil salesman, selling vanity. And you have entertainers like Jay-Z and Beyonce, billionaires, people like Warren Buffett, and all he does is buy and trade stocks and bonds in companies. He doesn't really deal in other things except investments. And he's one of the richest men in the world. But Abraham was one of the richest people, and he had resources. So the world economy was halted because of the vast commerce built on vanity and the things that your hearts desire. And Yahweh tempted you through these things and is tempting you. And it quickly became a conversation about the tragedy amongst black people. How we are the most affected people from this pestilence. And the world turned a blind eye by temptations,
by signs, and not incidentally, in a protest, what do? They hold up what? Signs. All over the world, people are holding up signs with one of your people's name on it. All over the world, people are holding up signs that say your life matters, Black Lives Matter. All over the world, people are holding up signs saying that there needs to be justice done for your race. All over the world, people are holding up signs for your cause that you and I, we couldn't even imagine. The whole world is in a unrest, and they going to the streets and holding up signs that are making statements about you. I saw one sign somebody put up, and it said, 400 years we've played by your rules, but now we gonna change the game. So why all over the world they know that this been going on for 400 years? But we want to be the Hebrews that know about Yah's word and still say it's not 400 years. But all over the world, people are going to the streets, holding up signs, being voices for the voiceless, as they say. But Yahweh, not only through protesters marching and holding up signs, these are not the signs in particular that the Creator was speaking about. The signs came through Yahweh's order, and they will continue to come in his order, like the sign of 3 and all the 3s that are connected to George Floyd's death, the sign of 4. As a matter of fact, they keep on saying George Floyd's name so much, it made me inquire in how many letters are in George and Floyd. Well, of course, there's 11, and that's the order of 4. And that's Yah's praises. It's also war. And war creates a division. War is when something is divided, and there has to be this division. And through this division, Yah's praises will be magnified, and the wickedness will be put down. And so signs will continue to occur at this time for Yahweh's hand to show forth his deliverance. Also, it says by temptations and by signs and by wonders and by war.
So by these wonders, as we learned yesterday, Yahweh's wonders are not just some great spectacular event in the sky. Yah's wonders are even his servants. Why else is the third mentioned his wonders? Because he's going to use his servant to bring forth these wonders, to show forth these great wondrous works. He's going to use his servant to do this thing. And who else taught you about Yahweh's 7 wonders? You couldn't even know about this if it wasn't revealed to the world through this teaching that Yahweh has wonders and they're all his servants. David, Moses, Abraham, Israel, Noah, Daniel, Job, all Yah's wonders. And they were all his servants. And he will use wonders once again to do wondrous things. Let me show you what one of his wonders had to go through. In the book of Exodus, the 6th chapter. In Exodus chapter 6, start reading verse 10.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying,
Start reading at verse 6.
Wherefore say unto the children of Israel.
See, Yahweh told Moses, which was a wonder, to say unto the children of Israel,
I am Yahweh, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with judgments, with a stretched out arm, and with judgments. And I will take you me for a people, and I will be to you a Elohim, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you into the land concerning the which I did swear to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it you for an heritage. I am Yahweh. And Moses spake so unto the children of Israel.
So you see, Yahweh let Moses know to tell the children of Israel that I'm going to deliver you from this place, and I'm going to bring you into the land wherefore I swore unto your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let them know this is what I'm going to do. As Yahweh has let his servants know time and time again, go speak to the children of Israel. But look what it says in verse 9.
And Moses spake so unto the children of Israel, but they hearkened not unto Moses, for anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Go in, speak unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, that he let the children of Israel go out of his hand. And Moses spake before Yahweh, saying, Behold, the children of Israel have now hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips?
You see how it said that the children of Israel did not listen to Moses because of anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage? And they didn't. Moses like, man, how is Pharaoh going to listen to me and the children of Israel don't listen to me? And I am of a hard speech. That's why he gave him Aaron. But just to show you this wonder, Moses, even the people in Egypt, when we were in Egypt, we didn't listen to Moses because of anguish of spirit and cruel bondage. And why aren't the people listening to Yah's messengers today? Because anguish of spirit, cruel bondage. But there's more. Today, we don't listen because of the imagination of our own heart, because we want to hear smooth things, because of pride and arrogancy. But here, our people was just so oppressed that we just like, man, whatever. Believe it when I see it. And some of our people are like that today too. But some of our people just scorners. But even this was a wonder. Yahweh called him a wonder, used him as a wonder. But his own people didn't listen to him. But Yahweh said, it don't matter. Continue to go and do what I tell you of. And go back to Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, verse 34.
Or hath Elohim essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war?
By war. By war. In this war, who performed the acts of this war? Who was the general or the soldier or the champion? Who was the warrior? Who is Yahweh going to use to be this warrior in order to enact and perform this war? See, we got to understand this now. We got to understand this today, because if we understand this, then we will be able to see what's about to happen. We will be able to see who is about to do what. See, look in the book of Exodus, the 5th chapter. Start at the first verse.
And afterward Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus saith Yah, Elohim of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is Yahweh, that I shall obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not Yahweh, neither will I let Israel go. And they said, the Elohim of the Hebrews hath met with us. Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto Yahweh our Elohim, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. And the king of Egypt said unto them, wherefore did ye, Moses and Aaron, let the people go from their works? Get you unto your burdens. And Pharaoh said, behold, the people of the land now are many, and ye make them rest from their burdens. And Pharaoh commanded the same day the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick. As heretofore, let them go and gather straw for themselves. And the tale of the bricks which they did make heretofore, ye shall lay upon them. Ye shall not diminish aught thereof.
So now you see that when the children of Israel had a representative go forth and present and confront the king of the oppressive land, say, hey, let them go. We from the Elohim of the Hebrews. And he wants you to let them go. And he was told, well, I don't know who these people are. I don't know who this Elohim is. I ain't letting no one go. So he made them work even harder. He made them do even more work and oppress them even more. And he didn't know that he's fighting a war against Yahweh. But you had two different opposing forces, a conflict between two different sides. Even look in the book of Exodus, the 7th chapter. In Exodus, the 7th chapter, started the first verse.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, see, I have made thee a Elohim to Pharaoh.
See, he made thee a Elohim unto Pharaoh,
And
which means what? And why would he do that? Why would he make him an Elohim unto Pharaoh? Pharaoh thought he was an Elohim. Pharaoh thought that he was a god. And so Yahweh said, I'm going to show you who has true power. I'm going to show you who really can stand up and be an Elohim. So he stood up and he said, see, I've made you an Elohim unto Pharaoh.
And Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet.
See, this is why he was a wonder. What else? Who else would be able to walk around and say, Yahweh made me an Elohim and gave me my own prophet? Aaron.
Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt.
So he's going to multiply the signs and the wonders. And he's going to do it by the warrior he uses, the wonder he uses, Moses. He's going to multiply these signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. So just because he might raise up a wonder don't mean it's over for signs and wonders. He's just going to multiply them now. Now he's using his servant to fight this battle. Go ahead.
But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you.
He's not going to listen to you. That's why this is a war. You're going to tell him to do something, he's going to do the opposite. Pharaoh's not going to listen to you.
That I may lay my hand upon Egypt.
But why? So he could lay his hand on them. That mighty hand.
And bring forth mine armies.
So he could bring forth his people. If Pharaoh just listened to him, then it wouldn't be no glory. But Pharaoh had to fight. Pharaoh had to oppose. So Yahweh can show forth his glory, which you'll see what he said in the book of Exodus, the 9th chapter. In Exodus chapter 9, start reading. Hold on a minute. Start reading at verse 13. Exodus 9 and 13.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him, thus saith Yah Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve me.
See, he didn't come to him. He didn't come to him with bombs and guns and arrows and catapults and swords and things in this manner. He came to him and just let him know what he needs to do. Let them go. But Pharaoh said no. Verse 14.
For I will at this time send all my plagues upon thine heart.
See, this is how Yahweh fought this war, by sending out plagues, things that you can't shoot with an arrow. You can't blow up with a bomb. You can't take down with guns. You can't fight with lasers. He sent things that you don't have defenses against. I will send forth all my plagues upon thine heart,
and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth.
See, because in this war, it has to be a division made that there's none like Yahweh. There's no one like the Almighty. Pharaoh could raise himself up to be this great king, to be this great figure in the world, to look like a god, to decide life and death, but there's none like Yahweh. Can you send forth these plagues? Can you do this thing? Keep reading.
For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite thee and thy people with pestilence, and thou shalt be cut off from the earth.
Now I'm going to smite you with pestilence. Why pestilence? Because a pestilence is one of Yahweh's weapons of war. It's a matter of fact, it's the fourth weapon he used to deal with people. And why for? Because that's the order of war. And why would war and for be correlated? Because you need to have Yah's praises be exalted. And if his praises are exalted, then what cannot be exalted? What has to come down? Of course, evil, wickedness has to come down. But they don't go away without a fight. But you see, he sends this pestilence. That pestilence will cut off the people. Go ahead.
And in very deed, for this cause have I raised thee up.
He's saying, for this exact reason have I even raised you up, Pharaoh. I don't care why you thought you was big and bad. I don't care why you thought your kingdom became the most beautiful and great kingdom in the world. I don't care why you thought you got all this money and all these weapons and all these resources. You thought you got that because you were some kind of great master of the universe. I raised you up. I brought you to the forefront of the entire world. I put all the cameras on you, all the lights on you, all the attention on you for this very deed. Go ahead.
For to show in thee,
so I can show in you
my power,
and
that my name
may
be declared throughout all the earth.
So the whole earth can know that Yahweh is the only Elohim, and there is none else. This is the crux of the war, the reason for the war. Go to the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Start reading in verse 1.
For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, who captives they were.
So we're going to be delivered, and we're going to become the rulers over the oppressors. Go ahead.
And they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, How hath the oppressor ceased?
See, yes. You see, the praises is going to go forth when Yahweh brings down what? The king of Babylon. How hath the oppressor ceased? How has the golden city ceased? Go ahead.
Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked.
And this is what Yahweh will do to the king of Babylon. He'll break the staff of the wicked.
And the scepter of the rulers.
And all the rulers' scepters, their staffs, their rule will be broken. What do you think he's showing forth these temptations today for? Why else are the people in the streets rising up against their oppressors? Why else would Yahweh stir up the world to create an unrest in the nations where you are? Because he's going to break their scepters. He's going to break the staff of the wicked.
He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger.
Talking about the king of Babylon. You ruled the nations in anger.
Is persecuted.
You'll be persecuted.
And none hindereth.
And none will hinder.
The whole earth is at rest.
The whole earth will be at rest.
And is quiet.
And will be quiet.
They break forth into singing.
And then they'll break forth into singing. This is the praises to Yahweh that will go up, that will go out, because the wicked will be brought down. Go ahead.
Yea, the fir trees.
Even the fir trees
rejoice at thee.
And the cedars of Lebanon,
saying,
since thou art laid down,
no feller is come up against us.
Even the trees are going to take a rejoicing pose, because this king of Babylon is just like Pharaoh, raised up so Yahweh can get praised throughout the world. Verse 9.
Hell from beneath is moved to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
All they that speak and say unto thee,
art thou also become weak as we?
As thou become like unto us?
Thy pomp is brought down to the grave.
And thy noise of thy viols, the worm is spread unto thee.
And the worms cover thee.
How are you fallen from heaven,
O Lucifer,
son of the morning?
How art thou cut down to the ground?
Which did weaken the nations.
For thou hast said in thine heart.
This is what the king of Babylon, Lucifer, and it's not talking about the devil that you've been taught. It's not talking about Satan that you've been taught that Satan, Lucifer, and the devil are all the same. No, Satan, Lucifer, and the devil are three separate entities altogether. Lucifer is the king of Babylon. Lucifer is a man. Lucifer is the king of these nations, the president of the United States. Lucifer, how has you fallen from heaven, O son of the morning?
How art thou cut down to the ground?
Which did weaken the nations.
For thou hast said in thine heart.
This is what all the presidents have said.
I will ascend into heaven.
Why you think they always have some kind of program taking them up high in the heavens? The International Space Station and Space Force and the moon missions, satellites. I will ascend into heaven.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim.
They want to be like Yahweh. You can't be like Yahweh and Yahweh not fight against you this war. I will be like Elohim.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation.
In the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee saying,
Is this the man?
Is this the man? Because Lucifer is just a man. Is this the man that did make the whole earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? This is your president. And Yahweh conducts a war against them, against these rulers that have attempted to take Yahweh's throne. They want to sit in heaven. Look what the Creator said in Isaiah the 66th chapter. Verse 1.
Thus saith Yahweh, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool.
See, Yahweh said the heaven is his throne. So if these Luciferian leaders want to sit their throne in heaven, what you think the International Space Station is? What do you think these satellites are? They're the nation's leaders attempting to take the heaven as their throne. And how can they take Yahweh's throne but by war? And Yahweh said he will deliver his nation from the midst of another nation by war. But he's going to use his wonder to do this thing. So look here in the book of Isaiah 55. Verse 3 and 4.
Incline your ear and come unto me. Hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David.
Even the sure mercies of David?
Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people.
I gave him for a witness to the people. Just like he used Moses to go tell the people what he's going to do, how he's going to deliver his people. He had to witness. Moses was a witness to the people for Yahweh. He witnessed the word of Yahweh. He testified Yah's word. And David is a witness for the people.
A leader and commander to the people.
A leader and a commander. Because he's a general. He's a warrior. And he's going to do things that will conduct war against the nations. But he's not going to bring forth war with guns and with bows and arrows and with bombs and missiles. No, this war will be with the word of Yahweh. Look what Yahweh had Moses do in Exodus the 11th chapter. In Exodus chapter 11, start reading in verse 1.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, Yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh.
See, I'm going to bring another plague, one more plague upon Pharaoh.
And upon Egypt.
And Egypt.
Afterwards, he will let you go hence.
And when he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Mm-hmm.
Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver and jewels of gold, And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. And Moses said, Thus saith Yahweh, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the meal, and all the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was never like it, nor shall be like any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that ye may know how that Yahweh do put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
See, that's why this is a war, because there's a difference put between Israel and the Egyptians, a difference put between a fake God like Pharaoh, a fake God like Trump, a fake God like JC, a fake God like any of these other false deities. There's a difference put between them and Yahweh. And Yahweh doesn't just make this difference by showing you a book. No, he said, I'm going to show you. All the firstborn are going to die. Now, how are you going to stop this, Pharaoh? What radar? What secret computer? What are you going to use? What instrument to pick up technological frequencies and whatever else that they construct? What are you going to use to detect when Yahweh snatches the life out of you, like he's doing with this pestilence, just snatching life? There's no instrument that you can use to combat him. He will come and he will take life right from his enemies. No nuclear bomb, no laser guns, no swords, no guns, no martial arts skill. There's no weapon of war that can stop the Creator. And all his wonder his servant will do will warn Pharaoh. He'll warn the governments. He'll warn the people. Yahweh will come and do this thing. Just from Moses warning the people, showing the people what Yahweh will do, and this thing coming to pass made him great in the whole land of Egypt. Made him feared because the things he spoke happened. Yahweh's going to turn the river to blood. It's blood. Yahweh's going to bring frogs. There's frogs. Yahweh's going to bring lice. There's lice. Yahweh's going to bring flies. There's flies. Yahweh's going to kill all the cattle. They died. Yahweh's going to make you have boils. They had boils. Yahweh's going to rain hail and fire. There was hail and fire. Yahweh's going to bring forth all these plagues that he did. Yahweh said he's going to bring locusts. The locusts came. Yahweh said it's going to be dark for 3 days. It was dark for 3 days. Yahweh said he's going to kill all the firstborn, and he did. And everything Moses spoke in the name of Yahweh came to pass. People seemingly died because Moses said so. That's what it seemed like. Moses said, you're going to die tomorrow. And they did. Who can fight this kind of warrior? Who can go up against this kind of wonder? Why didn't they just stab Moses? Why didn't they just snipe Moses? Why didn't they just capture him and tape his mouth shut? They couldn't even touch him. Yahweh protected him. And look what it says in the book of Isaiah, the 42nd chapter, the first verse. Yahweh's not going to even allow the enemy to touch his wonder, who will be the main instrument of this war. In Isaiah 42:1, it reads,
Behold, my servant, whom uphold mine elect.
Yeah, Yahweh said, behold, my servant, whom I uphold, my elect.
In whom my soul delighteth.
In whom my soul delighteth. Meaning he loved this man. He loved this servant. He delights in this servant. How you think he gonna let somebody catch him and hang him up on a cross? Nail his feet and his hands. Put a crown of thorns on his head. You think Yahweh gonna let anyone do that to who his soul delights in? No. You can't touch this man. Like MC Hammer said, you can't touch this. He said, behold my servant, whom I uphold. That's why you can't get next to him. That's why Pharaoh, seemingly this God, this great king, couldn't even shoot one arrow at Moses. Behold my servant whom I uphold, my elect in whom my soul delighteth. I
have put my spirit upon him.
I put my spirit upon him.
He shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles.
He's going to bring judgment to the Gentiles. Meaning he's going to bring forth Yah's order, Yah's ways, Yah's determinations right to the Gentiles. And he's not going to do it with guns. He's not going to have to be like Huey P. Newton and recite the Constitution and the Second Amendment and the Fifth Amendment and all the 10 Bill of Rights and go and stand in court and talk about natural born man and straw man and all these things that they want to teach you in the court system to try to beat a case. He's going to bring forth real judgment. Keep reading.
He shall not cry.
He's not going to have to be in the streets with a bullhorn. He's not going to be standing on a soapbox. He's not going to have to march down 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He shall not cry,
nor lift up,
nor cause his voice
to be heard in the street.
He's not going to have to make this scene. Moses didn't have to go out and stand on the street corner till somebody heard him and give him a book deal or give him some kind of YouTube channel. Moses didn't have to do this. He just went right to Pharaoh's doorstep and said, let the children of Yah go. And you think Yahweh is going to do it any differently today? No, he's not going to do it any differently today. Look what it says. Verse 3.
A bruised reed shall he not break.
No, he won't break a bruised reed, meaning he's not going to add insult to injury. He's not going to, the reed is already broken. They already killing our people in these streets. We don't got to make them more angry at us by going and burning down their buildings. We don't got to make them more angry at us by assaulting their people. A bruised reed shall he not break.
And the smoking flax shall he not quench.
Meaning we don't need to riot, Hebrews. We don't need to do that. And Yah's servant won't do that. He ain't going to throw no Molotov cocktails at the buildings, at the fire station, at the police station. He don't need to do that. The house is already burning down. Why he got to set a match? Of smoking flax shall he not quench.
He shall bring forth judgment unto truth.
He's going to bring forth judgment unto truth.
He shall not fail,
nor be discouraged,
till he have set judgment in the earth. And the isles shall wait for his law.
Going to wait for his law.
Thus saith Yah Elohim, he that created the heavens and stretched them out. He that spread forth the earth, and that which cometh out of it. He that giveth breath unto the people upon it, and spirit to them that walk therein. I, Yahweh, have called thee in righteousness, and will hold thy hand, and will keep thee, and give thee for a covenant of the people, for a light of the Gentiles.
Yeah, see, Yahweh's going to use his servant to be this light. And also look what he said about his servant in the same chapter and verse 18.
Hear ye deaf, and look ye blind, that ye may see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as Yahweh's servant, seeing many things, but thou observest not, opening the ears, but he heareth not. Yah is well pleased for his righteousness' sake.
Yeah, he said his servant, even though he blind, he opening the eyes. He said Yahweh is well pleased for his righteousness' sake.
He will magnify the law and make it honorable.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come?
So his servant is even going to be the one that by this word that Yahweh give him, he going to even open up the prison houses. He going to even deliver the spoil that is set for a prey. This is what Yahweh's going to do for his servant, with his servant. And look what he's going to use in Isaiah the 41st chapter. Start reading around the 13th verse.
For I, Yahweh, thy Elohim, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. Fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel, I will help thee, saith Yahweh, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument.
He said he going to make you a new sharp threshing instrument.
Having teeth.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt thresh the mountains.
What you going to do? How you going to do that? With this having teeth, that means he's talking about a mouth. He's going to make your mouth this new sharp threshing instrument. Having teeth, this is your mouth. And you're going to thresh the mountains.
And beat them small. And shall make the hills as chaff. Thou shalt fan them. And the wind shall carry them away. And the whirlwind shall scatter them. And thou shalt rejoice in Yahweh. And shall glory in the Holy One of Israel.
Because he's the one that's going to do these things. And he's going to use his wonders. And his wonders is going to speak these words that will be the ultimate weapon and weapons of this war. Look even in the book of Isaiah, the 11th chapter. Just showing you this, the first part or the first order or the first step or the first device used for our deliverance that Yahweh uses is temptations. The next is signs. But the third, you know it has to be something that's going to affect the horror and something that's going to be his servant. His servant is going to have something to do with it because it's the third. And this is his wonders. But his wonders, like Moses was a wonder, will be the great warrior that Yahweh will use to fight this war that will undoubtedly bring us out of our captivity. And in Isaiah the 11th chapter, start reading in the first verse.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots, and the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him.
Now who's that? Who's the rod and the stem of and the branch coming all out of Jesse? Who is that? Of course it's David. It's not talking about any one of David's other brothers, because you don't hear nothing about his brothers after the first couple of times you hear about David. You don't even hear about his brothers no more. Yahweh ain't choose any of David's brothers. So he ain't talking about any of the other brothers of David or nephews or cousins. He's talking about David. Go ahead.
And the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him.
The Spirit of Yahweh will rest upon him.
The Spirit of wisdom and understanding.
See, this warrior will be a wise and understanding warrior.
The Spirit of counsel and might.
He'll be a wise and understanding counselor and a mighty warrior. Go ahead.
The Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahweh.
The spirit of the knowledge of the fear of Yahweh.
And shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahweh.
And he shall not what?
Judge after the sight of his eyes.
Neither reprove.
After the hearing of his ears.
Because he has these 7 spirits of Yahweh upon him.
But with righteousness shall he judge the poor.
And reprove with equity for the meek of the earth.
And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth.
He's going to smite the earth with his trigger finger. He's going to smite the earth with his missiles. No, he's going to smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. Moses said, tomorrow or at midnight, Yahweh will bring forth his angel of death, and all the firstborn to him that sitteth behind the millstone, to him that sitteth on the throne of Pharaoh, to even the cattle, firstborn will die. And they died just by him saying it. He smited the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he slayed the wicked. And this David that Yahweh will bring again to conduct this warfare will also speak these great words of Yah. In verse 5,
and righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins,
and faithfulness
the girdle of his reins.
The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf shall, and the young lion shall fatling together, and the little child shall lead them, and the cow and the bear shall feed their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like an ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the ass, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. Then they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. Verse 10.
And in that day, there shall be a root of Jesse.
Why this root of Jesse? This David,
which shall stand for an ensign of the people.
He's going to even be a sign for the people, because Yahweh said when he bring his wonders, he shall now multiply his signs and wonders in the earth. And this ensign, which will be David, which will be a wonder, which will also be the warrior.
To it shall the Gentiles seek.
And
His rest shall be glorious.
so they going to see the difference now. They going to know now. We got to go and hear what this one has to say. And it shall come to pass in that day
that Yahweh shall set his hand again.
See, that's how you know that this wonder fights this war and Yahweh brings his mighty hand. Because Yahweh shall set his hand again a second time
to recover the remnant of his people.
To recover the remnant of his people.
Which shall be left from Assyria. And from Egypt. And from Pathros.
Yes.
And from Cush. And from Elam. And from Shinar.
So all these different African nations that our people are scattered in.
And from Hamath. And from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for
another
the nations.
Sign for the nations.
And shall assemble the outcasts of Israel.
And gather together the dispersed of Yehudah.
From the four corners of the earth.
Why? Because there has to be a difference being made in this warrior standing up, using the word of Yahweh as instructed to let the world know, bring Yahweh's people home. There'll be a difference made. Yahweh will show forth his mighty hand and bring forth his people. Look in the chapter of Jeremiah, the first chapter. Just one more scripture after this. Jeremiah 1, verse 6. Just showing you how Yahweh uses his people, his wonders, to conduct a war that you and I aren't really used to seeing. You're used to hearing about bombs over Baghdad and bombs over Syria and troops and missiles and warships and warplanes. But who can fight the war that Yahweh fights? Who can deal in the war that Yahweh conducts? In the book of Jeremiah, the first chapter, verse 6.
Then said I, Yah Elohim, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But Yahweh said unto me, say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith Yahweh. Then Yahweh put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And Yahweh said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth.
I put my words in your mouth.
See, I have this day set thee over the nations.
I even set you over the nations.
And over the kingdoms.
To root out? How you going to root out a whole kingdom without a gun? How you going to root out a whole kingdom without a cannonball? To root out?
And to pull down.
How you going to pull down a whole kingdom without a sword and without an axe and without a missile, without a tank, and to
destroy,
and to
throw down,
and to
build,
and to
plant?
How can you do that and you don't fight a war? How do you do that and it's not called a war? Well, it is war. But this war is a war for Yah. In this war, Yahweh will use something you can't even get close to defending. You go, and I'm going to show you why you can't get close to defending it. In the book of Proverbs, we want the scripture just lost. There it is. In Proverbs chapter 21. verse 30.
There is no wisdom,
No wisdom,
nor understanding,
nor understanding,
nor counsel
nor counsel
against Yahweh.
against Yahweh. So it doesn't matter what counselors of war, what wise and understanding intellectual engineers of destruction anybody has in their nations. There's not a wise and smart and intelligent enough doctor or warrior or general in America or anywhere else to combat the war Yahweh has declared, conducting, and going forth in against these nations today. They haven't been able to beat COVID-19. They can't even silence the spirit of this unrest because of the killing of our people. They won't be able to touch Yah's wonders, and they won't have a chance in the war that is coming very soon. And let's not even think that they can stop Yah's hand, his stretched out arm, or his great terrors, which we will continue to bring to you the rest of the week. So until tomorrow, Yahweh loves you very much, and so do I. Shalom.
Yeah. Live free. Come on. Fourth tribe
90 seconds.
for 100 centuries. Yeah. Let's go. Take a look at my soul. Nothing left but these hoes. They tried to take me down, but Yah is in control. So now I ask you, you suddenly black too? The oppressor ain't fair when he attacked you. Started wars cause they tried to tax you. You should be asking who they was taxing.
60
Now
seconds.
what prices on our backs and the IRS wanted in on the back end. Lincoln was never down for emancipation, just good political relations to try to make a good case for the next election. Yet Jim Crow came right back in the field, certified with a government seal. Crowley tried to stand up with zeal. Sadly, he thought that Jesus was real. They gave us them fake news and education to keep us concealed.
Take a look at my soul. All I wanna do is go. There's nothing left of me of this horrid slavery. For 100 centuries, there's nothing left for you to hold. All I want to be
10 seconds.
is in my yard and live free.
Come on. For 100 centuries of this horrid slavery. But Yah, he is the king, and he will save me. So now I ask you, will you drop to your knees and beg Yah, please? Don't you know that Yah is coming? It's like tomorrow. I can't even tell you the time on your Audemars. Just guard your heart, baby Paul, baby doll. Don't cry. Paparazzi never cared about them tears. No way. Just fear my Yah all day. Rest in him, just like the song say. I'm waiting for the day that he sit on the throne. Till then I'm stuck in my zone, staying focused on the day when he finally take us home. Till then I'm prophesying to the dry bones. Till that day that I'm gone and Yah reveal what he has shown. That Yahweh is Elohim, is him and none alone.
Take a look at my soul. All I wanna do is go. There's nothing left of me of this horrid slavery. For 100 centuries, nothing left for you to hold. All I want to be is with my Yah and live free. All I want to be is with my Yah and live free. All I want to be is with my Yah and live free.